Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Katie, and today's Paint With Me is brought to you by the paint that's left on my palette. I'm using an Double True round brush, a Tombow monotwin marker to do the line work, and I'm just painting a bunch of circles. I try to work in odd numbers, and that's what I was working toward. But I also try to fill the space as evenly as possible. As I said, this paint is just what's left on my palette, so the final painting turns out to be pretty pastel, which is not normally what I work with, but it's fun nonetheless, and I hope you enjoy watching it. The paint that I'm using is from my Prima Watercolor Confections set. It's a combination of the Classic set and the Complexions set is what's basically used up on my palette. So there's different mixes from both of those sets. I worked with wet on dry, and then in the third one right there in the center I did wet on wet. We have lots of berries around our house, and so I draw berries a lot. So that's what these little circles are going to become. And one of the fun parts of working with the paint that's left on your palette is that it's uniquely you. You're the only one who's going to have those colors because you're the one that mixed them. No one else is going to mix the paint exactly the same as you. So that is why I really enjoy not washing my palette after every painting. This is actually a butter dish that I was gifted, and I like the little saying that says spread the love. It actually has a top that I don't use, but I thought it would make the perfect little palette, and it does because it's just big enough for me to mix pretty much the colors I use. I use a lot of green, at least I had been using a lot of green, so I still had a pretty good bit mixed up on my palette. But remember, watercolors dry a lot lighter than what you're seeing right now on the screen. So, because what you're seeing now is really wet, very vibrant, looks like it's very saturated, but once it dries, it becomes very pastel, and I really like that. I like the way this one ends up turning out in the end, because I was expecting it to be very much brighter and in your face, but it actually sort of calmed down by the time it was finished. And here we are, letting it dry. And now it's dry, and as you can see, it lightened up a pretty good bit. Now, it did take about an hour or so to dry, so no, it didn't dry it that quickly. I wish, even though my studio is fairly hot, and sometimes it does dry fairly quick. So I normally paint late at night or early in the morning when it's still cool up here, because my studio is actually the loft of our yurt. So it gets pretty warm. I'm right under the skylight, so I get pretty good sunshine. I said I'm going to end up with a tan just sitting here working at my desk inside because of my skylight. That's alright. So, yes, I like my new space. Just because of the natural light, really, because my previous space was in the corner of our bedroom. Being that it was in the corner of our bedroom, it was very dark. I only had a small window, so I didn't really have much natural light at all. So moving up here has been really, really good because I do have such natural light, and I can really see the colors and everything. And yeah, it works really good, and so I'm really happy with our natural light up here. This one, getting back to the painting at hand, I'm drawing some berries on this one, and just adding little ones. I started with the leaves because they're easy. The berries are easy. I don't have to think about what I'm going to be doing with those because I sort of know exactly how to draw them. I've heard a couple of artists say, you know, it's things that you draw all the time is in your mind bank. It's like the bank of all the things that you know how to draw without having to look at it. And that's pretty much what berries and leaves are to me. These flowers are based on the clover that is blooming in my pasture right now. They look like little cotton balls, and so it's just basically little petals and going around and around and around. I keep adding petals until you get down to the edge. Sorry my hand is in the way, but it's sort of what happens when the only angle I have to film is straight above. Working on that, trying to decide if I want to start filming with a second camera. That might come one day. Yeah, so this one, another set of 3 little puff balls, and just fun, relaxing. You don't really have to think about it. Just doodling on top of the watercolor is what makes doing things like this so much fun for me. It's repetitive, it's relaxing. I can do it to wind down at night, and sometimes I'll just paint a whole bunch of cards with the watercolor just blobs basically on it. And so whenever I want to wind down for the night, I pull out my pen and just start doodling on them. And it really does get you ready to relax. It helps me clear my head. Sometimes my brain won't shut off, and this really does help it get into that I need to shut off and go to bed. So that's why I do a lot of this at night. It's just, time. It's not for work. It's not for, a job. It's just because I want to do it. And that's sometimes what you have to do when you just need to get out of your own head, is to do something for yourself. I work as an artist all day long, so I'm constantly making work for people, and so sometimes just making something just for the fun of it and not worrying about if it's going to make money or not, or if somebody else is going to like it. It's just for me. It's just fun. That's what art's supposed to be. So, that's why I do it. When something is your job, sometimes it gets hard to just do it for fun. And that's why I do some of these little doodled watercolors. Somebody asked me what I was going to do with all of them, since I'm doing 25 of them. And, I might put them up for sale, but that's not what I'm doing them for. I might give them away. Who knows? It's just what I like to do. So that's why I do it. But yeah, this flower here is just petals, and all I'm doing is doubling the line, just a little offset, to make the petal a little bit different, not adding too many details into the center or into the petals. This flower here is based on a pine cone and a lesson I did with my children's church years ago. I was teaching them how when pine cones open up, they spread their seeds everywhere, and the wind catches them, and you never know where their seed's going to go. And so when we plant seed of God in someone's life, we never know where that seed is going to go, where it's going to be planted, or what's going to become of it. But we spread our seeds everywhere for that reason. And so that's what this little pine cone flower, I've been drawing it for years, and now it's just something that I draw when I can't think of another flower to draw. But I put little lines in it to show the little grain of the pine cone. So I always just say, this is my go-to pine cone flower. I don't know anything else to call it. If you really look at the end of a pine cone, turn it up, it looks like a flower. So, and I'm not talking about the end attached to the tree, I'm talking about the little end on the end. So, yeah. And so now I'm going to add some leaves just with the pen to even out the composition. And this will be ready to go. It's been fun to draw something like this, and when you add in just the line work of the pen at the end, it really does finish off the piece. It makes it where the composition flows a little better. And so, yeah, there's our finished piece with our little clovers and daisies and dogwoods and hibiscus or whatever flower you want to think they are. Some berries and my pinecone flower. Hope you've enjoyed watching, and you will come back and see next time. So if you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like, and click on that bell notification so you'll know when I post again. Again, thanks for watching.